Welcome to the Believe Podcast Network SoCal Sweat. My name is Ann McDaniels, a former NFL cheerleader and product manager turned actress and model who dreams of being a UFC fighter. Meow. Learning strategies to help motivate others leads me to bring you interviews each week from a range of athletes, experts in fitness and nutrition, and so much more. Thanks for listening to Believe, the #1 podcast for working professionals, and let's push our endorphins to higher performance through SoCal Sweat. This is your host, Ann McDaniels, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Believe SoCal Sweat. Today, we are going to be talking about augmented reality games, video games, and fitness, specifically the Pokemon Go app. Now, the world views video gamers as couch potatoes who spend countless hours in front of their televisions and their devices. Although that may be true in some cases, there are some significant exceptions to that rule. According to Michael Shannon of Elite Physiques, he says, augmented reality games, or AR games, are fantastic options for fitness and losing weight. And for years, people thought of fitness solely as just going to the gym. But we've also found out during the pandemic that is not only the case. There are so many things you can do from home. And fun activities are starting to make their way into a healthy lifestyle, specifically video games. Pokemon Go is a free smartphone app that combines gaming with the real world. The game uses location tracking and mapping technology to create an augmented reality where players can catch and train Pokemon characters in real locations. In today's episode, I have the honor of interviewing Hollywood actor Ryan Wayne, who credits Pokemon Go for greatly improving his life through losing 30 pounds, being inspired to run due to the fact that he was playing Pokemon Go. Not only did he lose that weight, but he dropped his soda and Pop-Tart habit, that's a tough one, gained confidence, developed self-discipline, and became physically and mentally stronger with an elevated zest for life. Well, I have Mr. Ryan Wayne today on the podcast. I'm so excited to talk to him because I had gone to Cafe 24, which is shutting down in Hollywood. Their last day was Football Sunday last Sunday. One of my friends told me it was the last day, and I went to get a sandwich for my friend who was getting a colonoscopy. So I wanted to get him his famous last meal. So here I am, I go in and I'm getting a grilled chicken sandwich, and I meet the concierge, or the front desk person, and that was Ryan. And we waited for about 20 minutes and we just got to talking. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do when the cafe shuts down? And so we were talking about just our passions in life. I said, are you an actor? And he's like, yeah. And I found out that he lost 30 pounds playing the game Pokemon Go. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to interview you. Such a great story. So Ryan, can you just talk about your childhood and sports activities and nutrition? And you were raised in Florida, correct?
Yes, I was raised in Florida. From 2006 on, I was raised in Florida. I was in Maryland for a little bit, but majority of my childhood came from Florida. And sports back then, full disclosure, if I was a chubby kid, sport-wise, I really enjoyed dodgeball. And I had an interest in track and field, but I never I had it's wanting something, but not having the drive or the initiative to actually do it or follow through with it to the level to actually get it. But activities back then, it was mostly, I was kind of a very sheltered kid. I usually stayed in my room and watched movies or TV shows. And I did play video games, mostly Pokemon. That was my go-to. That's been my favorite franchise throughout my entire life, basically. And nutrition, yep, that went out the window. I was actually, my worst thing that I've ever done was being addicted to soda. I was bad. I was very, very bad, especially when I got into college and stuff, and I had no no one telling me no. I would have 40 cans a week. It was crazy. It was bad. All my friends were you're going to get kidney stones. And back then, I didn't drink any water. I would gag on it. Nutrition was bad for me back then.
Well, at least it was soda and not constant alcohol like it was in my college days.
Fair point.
I think I would have gotten the kidney stones. Well, what kind of soda did you go to for the most part?
For me, my favorite was Diet Pepsi. Mountain Dew, high voltage. Like I try to stick to the diet stuff because like, they, calorie wise, I was still like
Right.
semi health conscious, but like obviously soda, especially when you're drinking like 40 cans a week, is still very bad for you.
Anything in moderation for sure. Now, why Pokemon? Why were you more drawn to that game than the war games or anything like that?
Pokemon, well, back when I was a kid, when Pokemania first hit back in the late 90s, I watched like the anime and stuff and I thought it was cool. I liked all the like little Pokemon back then. I like collect the toys, but I didn't play the video game until like first or second grade. And like, it's just like a fun little adventure. And then you have like one of the great appeals of Pokemon, there's like something for everyone. Like if you want to make a team full of like all cute Pokemon, there's like a plethora of them. If you want all, bad, macho, cool Pokemon, you can do that too. And like the exploration and like, there was just, I was just really, really into it when I was a kid and just kept on going because like, even like the games, the new Pokemon that come out, and I'm a huge nerd, so like
I love it.
Pokemon just really been a big constant in my life.
Well, that's so cool. And in fact, I wore yellow today because of Pikachu.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So I wanted to get in the theme of the interview. Finally, soda was your indulgence. Was there anything else? Were you into like a lot of the sugars or anything like that, or was it mostly the soda? You think?
Soda was that was what I was known for back when, way back then when I was Unhealthy Ryan,
Sure.
as I'll call him for this interview. But, also back then, like, yeah, I love like sweet stuff. Like I would have Pop-Tarts for breakfast and not just like one, I would have both. And, like I would always try and get seconds, things like that. Fries, all that stuff. I always would want something like either sweet or like, unhealthy. I mean, yeah. I mean, I liked a lot of like the spicy stuff back then. I still do, but like now my current like taste in spicy is pretty much different than what it was back then. Like, back then, I would bury everything in hot sauce. I still kind of do, but it's not like back then I'd be putting that all over fries and other very fatty stuff. Like now I like mostly eat eggs or chicken, grilled chicken. Or like my favorite food of all time is buffalo wings. And I'll have that on occasion, but not nearly as much as I did back then.
I'm sure they have great buffalo wings in Florida too, right? Because they're on that East Coast, coming from Buffalo all the way down.
I never really had anything from like big restaurants. Normally it was from the Walmart deli or I think Buffalo Wild Wings every now and then.
Yes,
B-dubs.
B-dubs.
Yeah, B-dubs is awesome. But it was mostly the Walmart stuff I would get because it was closer by.
Easy, fast. Favorite Pop-Tart. What was your favorite Pop-Tart?
For me, it was cookies and cream.
Oh, yes. Did you eat them untoasted, toasted, or all of the above?
All the above, but
Okay.
usually I would throw them in the microwave, nuke them a little bit, and then
Softer.
yeah, softer
Yeah.
but not like crunchy.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's awesome. Yep. See, we all grow up with these things. I grew up pretty healthy, but when we had babysitters or I went to friends' houses, it was like a smorgasbord. It's just so strange to look at you knowing that you were heavy because you are just so cut and ripped. And that's why when you told me, we were talking about, Ryan and I had been talking about, well, what are you going to do next? Because being actors, we always have to kind of have a side hustle. Even the celebrities do. This is not a constant in our lives, although we would love for it to be. However, it's kind of nice to have the side work on something else sometimes because it alleviates boredom and then brings something else to the table when you're actually acting. So we were talking about what are the things he could do. And I said, well, what do you love to do? And you said, I love to run. So you had kind of told me that your father has you involved in a virtual race type of thing. Please tell us about that.
Yes. So last year when the pandemic happened, so I always had like stuff to like count my steps and things like that when it came to running. And when I was on like Facebook, I saw he was using this app called Strava. And my dad always knew that I ran, and I combined Pokemon Go and running and made my little workout routine with that. But, like when I saw he was doing that and stuff, I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I should do it because I want something more accurate. Because I had a suspicion that the app I was using wasn't functioning properly.
A lot of them are that way.
Yeah. So, when that happened, he was like, oh, I can sign you up for like runs and stuff. And I was a little like, at first, but then I wanted to run a marathon. So I was like training for that, and I had all the free time to do so. And so basically from my apartment to Santa Monica Beach and back was pretty much an entire marathon. So.
And you're in Hollywood?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Did you run on crazy. How did you get there? Like on the back roads, or did you go on PCA?
Primarily, I ran through the Santa Monica Boulevard all the way to the beach and back.
Oh, perfect.
It was weird because like you go through all these different neighborhoods, like Beverly Hills, Westwood, and then like because back when I played Pokemon Go a lot, I would go to Santa Monica because that was the place to be. And then when I'm running, I'm like, I know obviously as soon as I keep going west, I'll eventually hit the ocean. So then as I got closer to Santa Monica, I started like recognizing some of the buildings. I'm like, oh crap, I'm almost there. And I've obviously like been there through a car or like the metro, but like to like run it is such a different experience.
That's crazy. And it is it's such polarizing neighborhoods all the way through.
Oh yeah, it was a little tough.
So how does that work? Because I know that it's something about the characters, like because I know a lot of people got into accidents. They would get hit by a car. There was a lot of bad things that happened with the Pokemon Go types of running. Did you have any bad experiences? And can you tell us how it works exactly?
All right, so I do have some stories, but basically how it worked was I would go running for however long I wanted to. And at the very early stages, it would be stuff like, all right, depending on how many Pokemon I caught, that's how many push-ups, sit-ups, and like, crunches, things like that would determine how many of those I would do. And then for every Pokeball I use, that's like a squat I also have to do. Sometimes it would be on the spot, but that's like the earliest. As I got like, more fit and stuff, I tried like, upping the stakes. So like every time I used a Pokeball, I would have to do 5 squats there. Or like, I had to do like a base 100 because I wasn't catching enough Pokemon while I'm running. And so I'm like, well, let me do just 100 and like, mostly the squats and stuff. But it was like, I feel like the main motivator is like, because other than running can be a very relaxing thing. And you can get into meditation through movement. However, if it's not your thing to begin with, it can be very, very boring. Like, yeah, you can listen to music and stuff, but it can be hard to find like that, like motivation that I was talking about, like when I was younger. And for Pokemon Go, it was like, oh, I'm catching Pokemon, I'm leveling up in the game. And when they came out with the buddy feature, which was like pretty early on, but it was still like cool. I was like, oh, I'm running with my Pokemon and we're both getting like stronger. So it was like great motivation for me back then.
That is incredible.
Yeah. As for some crazy stories, there was a moment where one time I was running and there were these 2 homeless people, and they were walking, and like obviously I was like respecting their space, and I was just being as far on the side of the sidewalk as I could be. And then when I was running by, one kind of like jumped at me, not in a like attacking way, but kind of like a steer clear way. And then his friend was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And I was like, my adrenaline's already high, so I was like on high alert. And then right after that, Pokemon has these like variants called shiny Pokemon. Basically, they're a different color, and when they show up, they have like this little sparkle around them. And immediately after, the first Pokemon I clicked was a shiny. So I was like, the universe works in mysterious ways.
It was protecting you, that shiny Pokemon.
Precisely.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, I had no idea that. Well, that's an awesome story. Did the other homeless guy apologize? Probably not.
Maybe not.
No.
I was still like in high, and like it was really his friend that was like,
Yeah.
trying to
No,
go through everything because
it can get
he
dangerous
probably.
in LA. I mean, and a lot of the times they take up the entire sidewalk and then you're in the street. And I got pushed the other day trying to get around, and I had even helped a guy with his bike get through a gated fence to help him, and then his other friend pushed me. So it is kind of dangerous running outside,
Um,
especially at night.
yeah,
You
I
know?
usually go running in the mornings. That was actually one thing that one of the like the little strategies for anyone that wants to go running that's listening is do it in the morning, because like especially if you wake up later in the day, if you get up early in the morning, it gives you like you got up for a reason, and so it's like another motivation for you to actually go running because you made this time to do this.
Absolutely. And if you're going to get up, you might as well make it worth it and then have a great breakfast
Exactly.
at the end. So, Ryan, I had no idea. I'm so impressed with the fact that there was hit training involved with the Pokemon as well. Like the fact that you did squats and jumps and things like that and crunches. I thought it was just running. I did not know that you would get a Pokemon and that would require you to do like type of CrossFit workouts with that. That's fantastic. Did every Pokemon character signify a different movement, or how did that work?
I never went that elaborate with it. But it was just something like simple, fun to do. Cause like during this time I was also, going to college. I also was working at a Starbucks. And so like all of this was, like I was balancing a lot of things, and the Pokemon thing was a way for me to like do that as well as like stay fit at the same time. I feel like if I ever went back and revamped it, maybe that would be another fun thing. But actually in college I did we had this thing our like senior year, like the first semester of our senior year, where we had to like make businesses, and then my business was a Pokemon Go workout routine.
Oh, that's
um
great.
it was something that my girlfriend at the time suggested, and I was like, oh, but Pokemon Go's died down from then and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun and gave me like new ideas for it as well.
Oh, that's
um
great. What kind of new ideas did you come up with that sent the other one over the top?
Burpees was something that was like introduced, and like I've heard of burpees, but I never actually did them. I mean, they can be a little rough. And then also like because of the class, I wanted to incorporate something like incentive for like doing better in it. So like it would be like a gift card giveaway. But there was also things like going the distance and stuff like that. It was more so of like the burpees was like one of the big things that kind of changed with that. But other than that, it was kind of like mostly, a group of doing it, because sense of community is also a great thing that kind of helps, because like usually when I run, it's by myself.
Hmm.
And the class would have had like a sense of community, something that people did, but it was just a school project, and I tried to get some Pokemon Go friends, but like this was when I was super busy, and it was also like Mother's Day was the only time I could do it, so I couldn't gather people for that. So
Sure. No, I think that's fantastic. And you talk about the group process, because that's why people love to go to the gym sometimes, because it is camaraderie. You can look at other people. They inspire competition in you and the group classes. And I think that this Pokemon Go business could be really great, because does Pokemon Go still exist or not really?
yes, it's still in
Yes.
its it just turned 5 years old this year.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, it would be kind of cool for you to get in touch with them and sort of be a consultant and kind of be the spokesmodel and actor for it. And that would, you know,
I would love that. Or like they are coming out with a live action Pokemon series on Netflix, and
yeah.
I did nudge to my agent and stuff. I'm like, hey, if there's anything that you see on there, I don't care what I have to do, just put me in the room there.
Get
Well,
on him again, get on that agent again. I mean,
I
you're
will.
perfect for it. And plus you have that perfect, like, you can really relate to kids. I feel like they would look at you as like a big brother, but yet you're an adult. So I think you have got that great, then their nerdiness is great. I mean, just even the posters behind you are fantastic. It just goes to show this is
Right.
who you are, And are you going to be going to Comic-Con this year?
No, or unless like something, because like I'm in between jobs right now, and one
Yeah.
thing that I am doing is I am training for another marathon before I try and, put myself out there, because I've been signed up for one for quite some time, and I just never really had the time, or when I was training, something would come up and then I would kind of like put it on the back burner, still run, but like not like, going on my long runs.
Yeah.
But so once I finish that, then I'll be like, looking for work again.
Sure.
I've been thinking about DoorDash, so that way I can still, like
Be
write
active.
books and stuff.
Absolutely.
But I mean, with Comic-Con, it has been like a dream, because I remember seeing it way back when this channel G4 was a thing.
I used to work on
really
G4. I was a
Really?
comedy actress on G4. Yep,
Oh,
I
that's
was.
so cool.
Yep, Olivia Munn, Kevin Pereira, and myself. I did a lot of it. I'll send you some segments.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
sweet.
they were amazing. It was so much fun. And I
I
did
bet.
every costume character under the book. You wouldn't even recognize me in half the stuff, because it's like, it's so goofy and silly, but that was such a great network.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's one of the channels where it was like really great before like the internet, because like now gamers get a lot of their stuff from the internet and stuff.
Exactly. But Kevin was so great with the comedy, and I thought Olivia was really great too. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, oh, that's so funny. I'll send you some stuff.
Definitely.
You would have been a great actor on there. It's just too bad you weren't here during that time.
I was just a chubby kid in Florida at that time.
Not anymore. You're not. Yeah, that'd be awesome to get you on Netflix and just like try to sell it in, with a pilot episode of, kind of a Kevin Pereira version of, Pokemon Go. It'd be really cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
There is one movie that I watched when it came out. It was Brittany Runs a Marathon.
Yeah.
That movie really does capture like the psychology and like the group dynamics of weight loss. Like, I remember watching that, and there were a lot of moments where I was like, yep. Granted, this was before I did an actual marathon,
Yeah.
but like the psychology and like how your life kind of does change when you lose weight. I mean, whatever you want to, be it. But there is like a thing of like, oh, if you feel like, you feel like the best version of yourself is someone who is a bit slimmer, and you go for it, you do notice a lot of different changes in your life, as well as like it does build up confidence a little bit, and as well it's like something to work on yourself. And like when you're making improvements on yourself, it's like, wow, I did this thing.
It's amazing. And
yeah.
It goes in strides. You start slowly, and then it just builds and builds and builds. And I think you make a really great point. I've only seen a part of that movie, and I just, because I thought it was so depressing in the beginning that I just felt so bad for her, and I couldn't watch it, even though I knew it was going to be a good turnout. Now, did you talk about the things that have improved in your life? And also, if you don't mind, did anybody treat you differently? Like, for example, maybe Ryan's friends from childhood knew him as that Pop-Tart, Mountain Dew loving nerd guy that's a little bit chubby, and now you're this runner, and you're in Hollywood, and you're an actor, and all these things. Have people treated you differently? So if you could talk about your progress in life with all of this stuff and your improvements for your own self, and then if you had been treated in a different way or in a good way.
Well, I mean, so when I started running, this was back in 2016. I was like, in my sophomore year of college, just starting my sophomore year of college. And so like, I moved pretty much across the country for like school. So like everyone that I kind of hung out with or knew back in Florida were kind of there. And so like, I would say that a lot of people were like, wow, they like noticed the progress with me. And, I would say that my personage changed more. So it's kind of hard to gauge it. Like, because since I changed, they would change in a result, because like it was more than just like body that changed. It was also like my mind as well. And a lot of people, yeah, confidence was a big one. I've had a few egomaniac moments sometimes.
Good. You should, yes, you look at the progress you've made, you deserve it. And you should have egomaniac moments when you're chubby too, because you're a great gamer and you're a great friend and person. But I think you speak so well to that, because it's just progress and believing in yourself, and the confidence goes higher. And to me, I would never think that you were ever low on confidence, because of just the way that you presented yourself at Cafe 24 when I was getting that monster sandwich. So I think that's really great. And did you see that your academics went up, and maybe the respect from your father, because he seems to be a real real like idolizer of you with this, with the apps and, encouraging your running.
Yeah. I feel like, well, back with my father, back in the days when I was an NEC teenager, he and I didn't really get along at all. Like, I still, we would still, have moments that we enjoyed and stuff, but overall, I just didn't really respect him. And then, like, he always was like grilling me to join the military because like he's military. And so like that was always like a hot topic when I was
Wow.
younger.
Sure.
And so when I started running and stuff, I'd kind of let him know. I would let him know like every now and then, but it wasn't like something that we would constantly talk about. But like the pandemic was one of those things where he was like, "Oh, so you like really run?" Because on Strava, they can like, basically it can track your progress and you can see whoever you're following, like how often they run, stuff like that. And so like, like he can really, really like check out stuff that I'm doing on there. So that was like one thing that helped us get together. And then like, he signed me up for like a marathon, kind of like after I did the marathon, but he was like, well, I mean, it might as well go towards something virtual. And so this year, they have this one series up in Washington and like you can do it anywhere. And so I've been doing that here. The first two have been half marathons, and so far I'm first because you have till the end of the year to like finish finish whatever run it is. And so far I'm in first place in the two that I first did.
Oh wow!
The first two that I did, yeah. And I have that one marathon that I'm hoping to get as close to 3 hours as possible, but I know next year I want to be under 3 hours so I can qualify for Boston.
For Boston. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow. You're a really fast runner. I mean, seriously.
I mean,
this isn't just like, oh, I started off slow and I'm like running, it's going to take me 20 hours to run this. Like that's incredible. I mean, what's your fastest mile?
My fastest mile, no, I'm not like there yet. I'm good at keeping up like a pace, but it's not like, I'd say my fastest without having to like, with no inclines or anything is about 6 minutes. But it's like something where, because when I run, like I consider 6 miles kind of like my bare minimum.
Sure.
Because it's like one more than 5, so I am going the extra mile.
Yeah, I always add one extra too. Like it has to be, if it's 20, it has to be 21.
Yeah,
oh,
nice. But and obviously I don't want to like burn out or anything or like, but it's something where like for long distance and stuff, it's something I've been improving a lot on because like right now, I put Pokemon Go kind of like on the back burner. I still play all the games and stuff, but like since the pandemic, I've really been focusing on like the actual running. So I'll always be grateful for like the little Pokemon Go workout routine I made in the beginning, because that's what got me to where I am now. And it's crazy the little domino effect that it had on like everything, because like Marvel has the What If series. What if Pokemon Go never happened, and how would that affect me?
Yes. No, I think it's a really valid point. And in the beginning, you did say you had an interest in track and field, but it's like, oh, I don't know how to get there. I don't really feel like it. I mean, what do you think you would have run in track? Do you think it would have been like more of an 800 sprinter or the long distance, like the 2 mile?
Probably a long distance.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I like to do because, like long distance and running fast, that's like kind of like my style when it comes to this, like tanking it out. I think that's one thing. I do have like a big, like, I would say not an all or nothing thing, because even if it's a little bit, it's still something. But sometimes I'm like, oh, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it to the extreme.
Yeah.
And so
I get it.
So it used to be 40 cans a week. Now it's like minimum 40 miles a week.
Oh, I love that. I think that's fantastic. How would you tell somebody that's, for example, like the girl Brittany, or someone struggling, how would you motivate them? I mean, because you were really self-taught, and this all kind of came from your love of video games, which I think is such an amazing thing. And I think it's so great for kids too, because I see all the Oculus Prime and all these other great apps. And this really does instill this in children, because the obesity rate for kids is off the charts right now. And then I think that's causing also a lot of COVID. And it's also from the parents. I mean, they're not giving the proper nutrition and things like that. Is this something you would do, is maybe coach kids and kind of teach them the ways of, playing the games with this? I mean,
I would definitely have to clean up my mouth. Granted, I can, I can put on the filter when it comes to interviews or when it comes to work, and well, not always at work, but like in my casual life, it's kind of like if you've watched Ted Lasso, it's kind of like the problem that Roy Kent has, where it's like, it's like in front of kids, like sometimes, like since you're so used to it, it's like, oh crap.
Well, kids are so like you can't hide anything from them now. I mean, they're so self-taught and learning because of Instagram and everything else like that too. So, but I just think it's a wonderful method to get involved. And I see the weight loss that has happened with Oculus Prime itself with the video gamers. I mean, one lost 300 pounds that I had talked to, just craziness. And it also gets a lot of these people that are a little bit more nerdy and antisocial a lot more social, and then with higher confidence as well. So I'm just glad, like, what are the top 3 things besides your physicality that really has improved in your life since this change?
I would other than physicality, definitely understanding people, because back then, pre athletic Ryan, he was someone who didn't really get people. Granted, I was inside a lot. Now, like if I'm in my apartment for more than like 4 hours, like I'm just gonna go, even if it's a walk to Starbucks, or not even to Starbucks, just a little like loop. So it's something where I'm no longer like the shut-in, and I like going out and doing stuff with people as well. Another thing is because when you're a runner and you're running fast, your perception of time does slow down a little bit. So it has made me a little impatient, but at the same time, like, it gives me like a better read on situations because I think faster as a result. And third one, I think we already brought up confidence. Now, granted, I can go from egomaniac to like, what am I doing with my life? I should just.
We all do. Yeah.
But it definitely, like, I definitely have more highs than I did lows, comparing myself to who I was back then.
And that's a true runner's high in the flesh, both literally and figuratively. And they call it a runner's high. And you get that a lot, where you're just like, when you're running so fast, you're so in your element that you almost feel like an elevated, just sort of almost like a drug. Do you feel that?
Yeah, there is a thing. I compare it to Naruto. Yeah, like I said, huge nerd. Where there's a part where way early in the anime, not way early, but like midway through his anime, he was able to like channel more of like the chakra from his like demon, and then like he'd have this like glow on him. And like sometimes when I'm having this runner high, I feel like, particularly my face, kind of like a little like tingling or like sensation of like energy coming out, and it's like I feel empowered from it. So I do get that runner's high, and I'm like, sweet, I'm going into the next stage. Oh,
that's amazing. And you kind of turn into that shiny Pokemon that you talked about that protected you from the homeless man.
Exactly.
You start to Ryan starts to sparkle. Well, that's just fantastic, because it really is wellness, and I do feel like running and fitness can really be a high. And if I have a bad day, a workout immediately eliminates that, because it's endorphins, and endorphins make you happy, the whole thing. And I'm so thrilled for you, and you look so fantastic, and you've got such a great personality, and I'm really happy that your father and you have bonded, and he on this alone. And so is it called, you mentioned the app Strava, is it SHRAVA?
Oh, it's STRAVA.
Oh, Strava. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can so people can go on that to track their running and things like that, and do virtual marathons.
Yeah. Well, the virtual marathon thing, my dad signs me up, as long as you have like proof that you actually did it. And, there is a little bit of like, Scout's honor to it, but as long as you have like a, proof that, oh, you actually did run this much, I think you can use anyone, but Strava is probably the best one, or the best one that I've experienced.
That's great. And can you recommend any of your favorite running shoes, any brands that are fantastic for feet and knees and just protection of the bones?
I'm not as familiar with running shoes, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, because everybody has
yeah.
like their different things. Because some people are like a diehard on certain brand. I'm just asking for myself because of the surgeries that I've had on my from the broken femur and things like that. Like my goal, my short term, my goal is I do like this meditation thing every night. Like, what is your goal ultimate right now is just to be able to run again. That is like such a luxury. And the other day I went step, run, and I am severely feeling the effects of it today. Like I can barely walk, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to keep pushing it. To me, pain is gain, but I know that pain is not gain in a lot of ways. And I'm sure that you discovered that as well.
The right kind of pain.
Exactly. Well, depends on what subject we're going for. Okay, we won't go there. So just a couple more things. I love that you worked at Starbucks. What was your favorite? What is your favorite drink at Starbucks? And yeah, what is your favorite?
All right, so my go-to is black coffee. This is part of like the thing that I went down to. But every day, if I want to, treat myself, a hazelnut soy latte with blonde espresso is like my fave.
Oh, so good.
Like hazelnut and coffee, they just go together so well. And like soy, I like the flavor it brings out, and like blonde espresso, it still has the coffee taste, but it's not as like bold, and it's actually more caffeinated too,
and less acidic. It's almost like the cold brew. And yes, the vanilla soy from Starbucks is ridiculously good, and it's my treat too because it's so high in calorie. But I don't care. And I know that soy milk is not good for women, but I don't care either. It's just you got to choose your battles.
Every now and then.
Yep, exactly. But did you see a lot of the kids coming in and getting the caramel macchiatos and they were very overweight? That's a milkshake. That is not a coffee. It's a milkshake.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. I mean, I lived on, or the one that I used to go to was very tourist heavy, and it was mostly like adults and stuff. We get like kids and stuff, and usually they get like frappuccinos. It was one thing I didn't really notice as much because at Starbucks, especially at mine where it was super busy, I just want to get them through the dang line.
Oh, definitely. I have such respect for Starbucks people. I would like espresso burn my face off on that steamer, and I would tell every person where to go when they had a list of more than 3 ingredients. I just couldn't do it, so I'm very impressed with that. That also gives you a lot of improv skills and a lot of speed. With that.
Me stand-up material
and patience. Yes, stand up for sure. Yes, you've got a lot for that. And then also, what is your besides, because you mentioned a lot of eggs and chicken, it sounds like you really amped up your nutrition and have gotten away from the Pop-Tarts, but do you still treat yourself to a Pop-Tart every once in a while, or any kind of a cheat food?
I wouldn't say Pop-Tarts, no. Every now and then, I mean, they're debatable whether or not they're like actually healthy. Maybe you can shed light, but those Lenny Larry's cookies, those are one of my, are they good or bad?
I think, they're better than, it's a cookie is a cookie. And if you're going to have one, those would be fine. And you're burning calories anyway. It doesn't matter if you eat like Mrs. Fields or something like that, honestly, because if you're burning that off and you've got that ectomorph body type, you're going to be just fine. And you've got to treat yourself, so.
Every now and then I'll pick one of those up. But another big weakness of mine is peanut butter. Now, I actually watched a video on Food Theory where they were like, how NBA players, they're like obsessed with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I've always, when it came to like peanut butter, I was like, oh, I really like this. So like, depending on like what my morning is, sometimes I'll alternate between that and oatmeal, but I'll have like a peanut butter sandwich, maybe some bananas in the sandwich. One of the best combinations in my.
It's perfect, Elvis. You get it, Elvis Presley.
He knew what he was doing. But yeah, like sometimes that for breakfast because like, the energy like that the peanut butter provides later and like the instant energy you get from the bread. Like, I think that's like another good like food. For me.
It's perfect, and I think that's actually one of the things that LeBron James eats before a game is a peanut butter sandwich. It's a perfect meal because of the protein. Have you ever tried the PB2 powder?
I've heard about it. I guess it's like a thing where
you don't need
trying to save money right now, so like it will depend like maybe in the future when I have less debt. Yeah,
but you don't have the problem. The people that do the PB2 is just a lot less. It's like 20% less fat and calories. But yeah, you don't even need to be doing that. But in the future, it's kind of fun to experiment with that and protein powders. But no, I think that's great. And otherwise, you do a lot of chicken breast. Do you do egg whites or eggs?
Just eggs. It depends. Like on Denny's, they have like They have like a fit like little
Yeah, the
platter and
fit
stuff and it's
omelet.
egg whites.
Yeah.
That one is pretty good, and it's like egg whites, and they have those like little cherry tomatoes. That's pretty good. Ryan should just do that in his cook that in the kitchen as well as something
Yeah,
else.
that's
Yeah.
perfect. And are you able to incorporate a lot of vegetables, or with like affordability right now, is that not a thing?
Actually, a good little tip for people that are on a budget. Target has like these $1 like bags of frozen vegetables, and it's like $1 and it's like a pound of like, whatever it is. Like for me, I love the mixed vegetables. It has like, peas, little pieces
Carrots,
of
corn.
carrots, corn. Yeah. That's really a good one, whether it's like for a snack or, on the side. They also have stuff with like broccoli, cauliflower ones. There's like a bunch of different stuff there. So if you want to get like veggies in your diet and you have like your budget's also on a diet, that is a good little thing I discovered.
That's a great tip. Thank you. And my podcast 2 weeks ago was about saving money at the grocery store because everything's going up like by 13%. It's crazy. It's 11%, and then restaurants are 13%. That's a great tip. Thank you. Is that all the time, or is that just on certain days?
It really depends on how busy I am, because like, it takes like 5 minutes. So like sometimes I'll pair it with like a meal, or usually it might be like a once a day thing. But like if I'm super busy, or if I'm like on set all day and like, early call time and I want to get home, like, then I won't. But like, it really, really depends. But usually it's like a once a day thing.
And that's another thing that you and I could talk about quickly is the food on set. And usually, I mean, it's a blissful dream if you are if you are foodie. I mean, it was a lot better even before the pandemic. And it's like, I mean, I've had modeling jobs where they bring in like sushi, and it's like a monstrosity of like the best of the best. And then the cookies and the desserts, and they don't just bring out desserts. There's like a platter full of like a million different cakes. And how do you discipline yourself on some of these?
Some of them are, sometimes I do. I'm like, oh, I'm on set. I haven't been on set in a while. Impromptu cheat day. But like, when it comes to like, let's say it's a longer project, usually they do have healthier usually they do have healthier options. Like this one pilot I shot way earlier this year, like they had like bananas on set, and like thankfully my other castmates were also a little health conscious, but like usually there is a healthy alternative there, and it is a little bit of self-discipline that's required. Usually it's like either that or like, one tip I learned from watching Survivor, did you ever watch Survivor?
No, but one of my best friends is like obsessed with it, so she tells me about it all the time.
Oh yeah, there's this contestant way back in their second season, Colby Donaldson, who he said
that's her crush. Yep, I know exactly who he is.
The golden boy.
Yep.
He one strategy he used so he wouldn't be too hungry all the time was drink a lot of water. And sometimes I use like the water thing, like even here at home, like, if I'm like, have the day off and like, I'm feeling like a snack, but I'm like, no, water. Because, it does fill you a little bit.
There's a nutritionist dietitian that I interviewed, and she always says water first, veggies most, and then go to the rest of the plate. And I thought that was a really good strategy. She happened to be on MTV's Fat Camp, and now she's a dietitian. If you ever like saw that show, it's an old documentary. Yeah, it's very cool. Well, these are great tips. And yes, I mean, we've all had friends that have gained like 15, 20 pounds on set because of, there's so much downtime. People don't understand, like we'll come in at like 6 a.m. Maybe our scene is not till 10 o'clock at night. So we just sit there. Oh, yeah. And for me, I drink like boatloads of coffee. And by the time that I'm like, because that would be my way of like, okay, I want those cookies. No, have a coffee or water, you're fine, or like a salad or something like that. But by the time I get on stage or, on camera, I'm like this, it's not good. It's that constant fight or flight, sit and wait, hurry up and sit and wait, as you know. Yeah. So no, that's fantastic. And how can we support you besides this hopeful Netflix Pokemon thing that I would love to have you on? That'd be amazing. Anything you need help with, please reach out to me. I've got a lot of resources as well, and a lot of ideas. So please let me know. Any acting, writing projects or anything like that we can follow you on?
There's not really anything right now. I mean, I'm always like, auditioning here and there. Sometimes I do a couple of YouTube stuff. It's it's a little like, all right, I finished one thing. It's like, all right, what's next? What's next? I'm kind of like in that little actor like unknown sphere, but I know something is going to come. Like, I get auditions every now and then, and like actually auditioning for something where I'm like, oh, this is perfect because the person was like the person in it is like a competitive gamer. I'm like, oh, like I read this, I'm like, I know this is cool.
That's fantastic. Good.
So
yeah, that's really good. And then also, you could totally, that's another fitness thing is, I know the major gamers, like the pros have actual physical trainers, because they get so intense and they actually get extremely sore muscles, and they've gotten injured just from being so intense and not taking breaks. Also, they get that tech neck. I did a podcast on that where they're so hunched over forward that it gets the bad the scoli, just like the upper
posture.
Posture is terrible. And then they're not working on their core at all, so they get kind of like a beetle body where it's like big gut, and then they have this upper torso. So they're actually physical trainers besides the massage therapists for these like millionaire gamers. So this could be something that you could do too, is train gamers and kind of get them out of their element, because you've got that same kind of mentality where you also went from a little bit less social to very social, and you could help with that. You've got a lot of gifts and a lot of skills that you yourself have sharpened due to Pokemon Go, but not just Pokemon Go, your own efforts towards that. I mean, you could have just watched it, but you actually did the work, and it's pretty impressive.
Exactly.
Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
So Ryan, how can we follow you on social media and websites, YouTube, what have you?
I am on Instagram. It's Mr. Ryan Wayne. And I do have a website as well, and I believe it has the same URL. I need to update that every now and then.
Perfect. I'll put that in the notes for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's kind of like Bruce Wayne. You kind of went from like nerdy to Batman. You know what I mean? You went from
a little bit, yeah. More like
I
would say more so Damian Wayne, his like son, where sometimes I can be like, think I'm all that in a bag of chips, but still like, small, agile.
No, we all have this. And plus adding the pandemic, we're like, what are we doing? No one really knows what they're doing. And it's kind of just convincing yourself, that giving you that extra boost of confidence. And it's called imposter syndrome, where you're doing something, but you're like, I don't even know if I'm, cut out for this. And people are going to discover that I don't know what I'm doing, but yet you convince yourself to keep doing it. So we all have imposter syndrome.
It's one of the best lessons you learn in life, is that when you're an adult, we're all figuring it out as we go along.
Totally. And some of us fake it better because we're good actors. And then we're like, I don't know what I'm doing. So anyway, well, Ryan, this has been such a pleasure. I'm so glad that I met you getting that sandwich on Sunday. Yeah. So
just a random encounter.
Exactly.
We were in a way each other's shiny Pokemon.
Absolutely. Very much so. So thank you so much for joining us today, and keep up that amazing work and to the glittering Pokemon that you are, Ryan.
You as well. Thank you for having me, Anne.
And that was the man who lost 30 pounds playing Pokemon Go, Mr. Ryan Wayne. You can find him on Instagram and on his website at Mr. Ryan Wayne and MrRyanWayne.com. We appreciate you for listening, and please rate and subscribe to the show on iTunes. You can also listen on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Luminary Tuned In, or at Believe.com. You can reach out to me for any questions or topics that you'd like covered on the show at Ann McDaniels or at Ann McDaniels Actress. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time on